And students, today in our class, we are going to discuss the another subunit. It is the last subunit of chapter number 10 from your old NCERT book. Those students have old NCERT book, they can open page number 105, and those have new book, it is in chapter number 9 of new NCERT book in page number 97. And our today's topic is the quest of the pilgrims. So you have read about the pilgrims in previous classes. So I think you know that who were called the pilgrims. That pilgrims are the men and women who undertake journeys to holy places in order to offer worship. Okay. And long ago, the traders journey to distant lands and in caravans and ships. So pilgrims often traveled with them because it is very secure, because the roads and the areas are not very secure when you travel from one place to another place at that time. So for security, they joined with the caravans and with the traders and reached in a new country, and they traveled also for different purposes. Sometimes they also wanted to learn about some new religion. They want to visit the religious places or the places of religious importance, as well as to travel. So at the time, various Chinese pilgrims arrived in different period in India, and one of them was Fa Hian. Fa Hian was a Chinese pilgrim arrived in India in the time of Gupta dynasty, when Gupta dynasty rulers ruled India, mainly the Chandragupta II. And Fa Hian wrote a book about his experience while he was traveling in India. When he was traveling in India, he gathered a lot of experience, and all these experiences he compiled in a book, and the name of the book is Pho Quoc Ki. This is the book written by Fa Hian, a Chinese pilgrim. What happened after that, and what is the meaning of Pho Quoc Ki? The meaning is the travels of Fa Hian. It's actually a travelogue or a travel diary, and he was written all the things that he was experienced in India while he was traveling India. Next traveler, it is Huan Zhang. Huan Zhang. And Huan Zhang, also a Chinese traveler, arrived in India 1400 years ago, and Fa Hian arrived in India 1900 years ago, and Huan Zhang arrived 1400 years ago. Means more or less 7th century AD, in the time of Harshavardhana, when the Pushyavati dynasty's king Harshavardhana ruled northern India. At the time he arrived in India and visited various places including Bengal, and he wrote a book about his experiences while he was traveling, when he was living in India for several years. He also studied in the famous university named Nalanda, and his name of his book is See Yu Qi. Si Yu Qi is the book written by Huan Zhang. And except Huan Zhang, another traveler who arrived India, also a Chinese traveler named Yi Tsing. Yi Tsing, a Chinese traveler, also visited India at that time. He arrived India just 50 years after Huan Zhang. Means 1350 years ago. And all these people, they came to visit the places of Buddhist importance, such as the place where Buddha born, such as the Lumdini garden in Kapilavastu in today's Nepal, the Bodh Gaya where he was enlightened, got enlightenment, and the place like where he served his first teaching and among his disciples. The name is Sarnath, and as well as where he left the earthly body, that is the Kushinara. So all these places, and as well as they also visited the famous monasteries built at that time, different monasteries and stupas. Okay, students. Okay, so there is a question that okay, it is said that 50 years after, I have written 50 years 13. $50 after, so that's why because Huan Zhang arrived India 1400 years ago. Have you understood this, Sujita? So that's why I am writing it is 1350. 50 years after. So if Huan Zhang arrived India 7th century AD, means 750. That's why I am writing this. So what happened to them when they arrived in India? So they wrote on their books about the dangers they had faced on their travels, and which often took years of the countries and the monasteries they visited. It's a long time, because at that time no such speedy communication was not there. Train, buses, these are aeroplanes, these are not available. So people had to travel either on foot or on horseback. So they wrote all the experiences they gathered while traveling in India in their book, and book they carried back with them. They also, the book what they carried back with them, they describe all these things. Huan Zhang, who took the land route to back to the China through the northwestern part of India and Central Asia, means today's Pakistan, Afghanistan, those regions up to the Central Asia. Central Asia means today's these countries where Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, okay, these countries situated. So he returned China through that route, and also carried back with him statues of Buddha made of gold, silver and sandalwood, and over 600 manuscripts also taken away by Huan Zhang and loaded on the back of 20 horses. So lot of manuscripts also taken by Huan Zhang when he left India, and over 50 manuscripts unfortunately lost when he was on the boat and in which he was crossing the Indus. It was lost, 50 manuscripts, and rest of the 550 he was taken away, taking with him. And he rest of the life Huanzhang spent to translating all the manuscripts from Chinese, from Sanskrit to Chinese. So he spent rest of his life translating those manuscripts from Sanskrit to Chinese, because most of the manuscripts were written in Sanskrit language. And in this way, the people, some historians, they believe that a lot of important things and philosophical knowledge also reached into China through these travelers. Lot of books also and manuscripts written on the palm leaves also taken away by them, and new knowledges, these type of the knowledges that was practiced at the time also preserved in China and reached in China and enriched their culture and society. So now the story of Nalanda. That Nalanda was a unique center of Buddhist learning, and you know that Huanzhang also studied in the Nalanda University. So Huanzhang and other pilgrims spent time studying in Nalanda, that is situated in Bihar. Today also it was re-established after a long time, and the most famous Buddhist monastery of that period was Nalanda. And Huanzhang described that the teachers in Nalanda are men of highest ability and talent. They follow the teachings of the Buddha in all sincerity. The rules of the monastery are strict and everyone has to follow them. Discussions are held throughout the day, and the old and young mutually helped one another. Learned men from different cities came here to settle their doubts. The gatekeeper asks new entrants difficult questions, and they are allowed to enter only after they have been able to answer these. So like today's admission tests also taken by various universities and school and colleges, do you know that? So at that time also the gatekeepers asked some questions to the people who came here to learn, and 7 or 8 out of the every 10 are not able to answer. So 7 or 8 out of every 10 questions are not able to answer. So they are very much difficult. So the standard of the university was very high. From that portion we can understand. Okay students, and that's all from our today's class. So before finishing our class, I just want to mention that how Fahian returned to China is not part of our syllabus, and the elsewhere portion also. Now I am giving you the first question answer of your exercise, the let's recall portion. So if you have copy in front of you, you can open your copy, or you can do it with a pencil in your book. So the first one, match the following. Match the following. It is question number 1. So the first option that is given on column A, you have to match the column A and column B. So the first option, it is the Mohenjo. And Mohenjo will be matched with Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. Next one, it is the lords of the Dakshinapatha. So students, do you know who was called the lords, who were called lords of the Dakshinapatha? If you know the answer, you can mention in the chat box. Lords of the Dakshinapatha. Yes, Satavahana rulers. Very good. Satavahana rulers, including the Gautamiputra, Satkarni, called themselves lords of the Dakshinapatha. Next one, Ashwaghosh. Ashwaghosh related with Buddhachari. He wrote the book in Sanskrit, Buddhachari. Buddhacharita. Third one, it is the Bodhisattvas. And Bodhisattvas will be matched with, do you know the answer? Bodhisattvas will be matched with Bodhisattva, yes, absolutely correct. Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism. And the last one, it is the Huanzang. And Huanzang is a Chinese pilgrim. Okay students, so that's all from the first segment. Match the following. So from the next class we will give you the rest of the question and answers, and we will start a new chapter, that is chapter number 11. Okay, so if you have any question you can ask me. If you have any question from this chapter, you can ask me questions. Okay, Vishnu, no problem. No doubt, Aruni. So thank you everyone for today's class. See you in the next class.